Surprise everybody, I decided to make a part 3 of this video because I remembered a technique I wanted to try that I hadn't tried yet. So if you remember in part 1 we made this stencil here out of that flexible plastic back to school folders. And then we did our stenciling with using it and some paint to put dots on it with some Spectrum Noir paints. Then I redid it on a different card front because I ended up not liking the gatefold. So then this morning I ran the stencil through my die cutting machine, and you can't really see it from the front, but from the back you might be able to just see a hint of that embossing. So your die cutting machine, besides using embossing folders, you can use your stencils, and a lot of you may already know this. I knew it, but I had never tried it, and I thought before I put everything away I would just give it a go. So that's what I did this morning, and then I had to put the stencil back on and ink it. So we're gonna go ahead and stencil this, and then we will ink it and we will see how it goes. And then somewhere here I made a different stencil. This one's actually out of 100-pound cardstock, or 110, I'm not sure. It's the Nina Classic Solar White or whatever it's called. It's not as clean a stencil, but it's thicker, and I wanted to see if it would make a better impression. So we're going to do it this way first on the 65-pound cardstock, and then we're going to do it with the 110-pound stencil. So this, again, this is much thinner. I don't know what the measurements are, the width, or any of the specifications, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So hold on just a moment, I'll run it through and we'll come back and we'll take a peek. Alright, so I ran it through front and back, and I think maybe you can kind of see the embossing on there. Some of my paint and previous ink that I didn't get cleaned off properly did transfer, but it does leave an impression with this thin plastic material. So I'm gonna leave that one on there. Let me grab another piece of paper and we'll try it with this thicker cardstock. Okay, so we rolled it through with this thicker cardstock. I'm still picking up some ink and stuff, and I'm not sure if it's a better impression or if it's the same. In places it's definitely better embossed, but not everywhere. So I don't know if you can really see, but yeah, it's kind of better embossed over here. It's like thicker and bolder than it is on the left, and I'm not sure, maybe I just need to put it back through and run it through in a different orientation. But while I've got it attached, then you would do your, oops, that's on backwards. Then you would do your stenciling or your inking, and it has shifted on me. Let's see, where do you need to be? So maybe what I've learned here is, instead of using a damp wet wipe, I should use soap and water, because I think it will clean it better in the long run. So I'm going to do the star real quick. Because I don't care if the yellow gets down in the other part. The green will cover it up. I'm just using a yellow ink today, but I think if I were to do this again, I would use embossing powder. So let's grab our green ink. My desk is a total wreck. I need to clean it. But when I'm cleaning, I can't craft. Trying to make sure that's still lined up. I probably should have lined it up top and bottom. Okay, so you know what, I'm just going to use the back of this one to cover up that star. So we're going to get some ink on our blending brush. Make sure we're lined up. It looks like we are. And I'll start at the top so I can get rid of this masking piece. Now, I did use a really thin cardstock for this. Maybe if you used a thicker cardstock, you would get better embossing. You know, a bolder embossed image. Maybe we'll try that here next, since I've still got some thick cardstock on my desk. I've hardly used this green, but it's so old it feels like it's almost dried out. And as I've said before, at least with this series, Spectrum Noir did not offer re-inkers. Okay, good enough. We're just testing, right? So, pull this up and off. Oops, should have been a little gentler with that. And it did bleed a little over there. I didn't hold it still enough, but it's not too bad. So, it just kind of highlights your embossed image. It's like I said, it's not very prominent, but you can feel it. So it's there. So let's try this on. Give me a second here. I'm going to wipe this off. All right, where's the thicker cardstock that I had right here that I cut this out of? Oh, it's still on my desk, or it's on my trash can, which is my desk extender. Just lay stuff across there and hope it doesn't fall in. Pull this off of here. Let's see if we can get this. Now maybe I would have gotten a better cut if I'd used the strong grip mat, but I was afraid it would tear the paper on the back. So I didn't, because this one really does need, I need to take my Zig inker or my Zig sticker pen to it and get it re-stickified. Okay, somewhere in here I have scissors. Not sure where my other ones went. Oh, they're probably over by my printer. So we'll just do it this way. Now, is this wide enough? It is actually. So I'm just going to cut it off across the bottom here. Normally I would use my bigger scissors for this, but I was doing some printer maintenance. Well, actually hubby was doing the printer maintenance. I was supervising. You all know how that goes, right? Okay, so let's get this centered on here. Work from the back. I don't want to do it that way. And what I want to do is I want to see if I'll get a thicker, more defined image. Of course, my tape is, I ripped the paper off, so who knows if it's going to work. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so we ran this thicker 110-pound cardstock through. I definitely felt more resistance with my Spellbinders Platinum 6. But it, well, you know what, it is more defined. Let's see. You can't really, let's compare apples to apples here. I'll flip this over. And maybe you can tell from the back that it is a little more pronounced on the thicker cardstock. So, mystery solved. Not that it was a mystery, many people already knew that. But yeah, definitely want to clean it good though, because it's still transferring little bits of ink and paint. So, interesting. Now I'm thinking, if I did this on black cardstock, and used some of the distress inks that show up on black, or even white pigment ink, and went over it and then put my dots on it, what would that look like? Oh, should we try it? Let's try it. Hold on. Okay, I mentioned this in the other video, one of them, but in case you didn't see it, when I cut my stencils, I cut them, these anyway, for the size of card I generally make, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So then it just lines up perfectly, and I don't have to think about it. So I'm going to put this one on the back here and run this through, and we'll be right back. Okay, I couldn't find my good ink pad, so I'm going to use this older one, which is also white, but from Color Box, so it's not as good a brand as the others, I don't think, but we will see. It may even be dried out. I may have to go back and look again, but let's take a look. Oh no, it's working. Now remember, this stencil didn't cut very cleanly, but it was thicker, so I wanted to try it. And you can definitely buy thicker stencil material. I just like using the folders, because if it's just a stencil and not an embossing stencil, it doesn't need to be that thick, and they're cheaper. But if you're going to be making your stencils to do this technique, you might want to get the thicker stencil material. I used to get it at Joann's, obviously. I know, I mourn them every time I do a video, I swear. But you won't be able to get it there anymore. But I would think that Hobby Lobby would have it, as they have sewing stuff, and you can oftentimes get it there in that area. Michael's may have it. You could always certainly order it online. If you have a sign shop somewhere nearby, they might even be able to sell you a piece. Now theirs may not be as thick, but that's also an option. Okay, so I'm just pouncing, trying not to move stuff. This frost white does kind of look frosty, and maybe that's just because it's still wet, but it looks good. Okay, gotta come over here a little bit. I'm just kind of rolling it, rocking it, not really moving it, just kind of rocking it around so it'll get down into that recessed area. I think that's good. I'm going to save this for future use with this ink pad. Does this tell me? I'm always curious how long I've had something. It doesn't appear to say. 1996. Whoa. I'll see if I can get that up there. It's right there, 1996. That's a 30-year-old stamp pad, but that's how little I've used it, and I've kept the lid on it, and it still works great. All right, let's do the big reveal, guys. I want to see how this looks. So, I'm going to flip this over and take off my washi tape. This was a roll that came in a pack, and I didn't have any use for this particular roll. I know these little poop emojis are all the rage and have been for a few years, but they don't do it for me, so this seemed like a good use for them. Okay, I don't want to smear my ink if I can avoid it. Oh, look. That looks lovely. That would also look green or great on green or dark red paper, and it does seem to have a little sparkle, which isn't really picking up in the camera, but there is a little bit there. I'm going to set this off to the side and let it dry. I think once it's dry it won't reactivate, so I'm not going to worry too much about this one. It was really just a test anyway. Yeah, I mean, I could have done a little bit better right there, but I think it looks pretty good. So if I were going to go back and dot it now, I could use some of the things I didn't talk about yesterday that you could use are glitter paint. Nuvo drops, things like that. If you have these zig markers and you haven't used your marker a lot and flattened out your tip kind of, well, this one's not too bad. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. You can make little dots, and then you could add a little bit of glitter or foil. The foiling technique would work really good with, I've tried it with these and it does work great. You could maybe do some dotting with your Versamark, but you'd have to work quickly with that, so I don't know about that. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool looking. So anyway, this was just a quick little add-on because I was, having fun with this stencil, and I wanted to, and I remembered this technique, which I had never done before. In all of the years I've been paper crafting, I had never used my stencils for embossing. But I like it. Now the embossing doesn't show up so much, but it does help keep the stencil from moving around when you're putting your ink down. So, and it might show up better on a different color or a different thickness paper, I don't know. But yeah, there you go. I love it. So let me know what you think. Till next time, guys, I hope you have a happy crafty day.